Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Lumen Project. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with our host, Jeff Bernheisel. What's up, Jeff?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. This will be a fun conversation today. I somehow I saw this YouTube video the other day that was like, the thumbnail was, "Don't be a pussy" or something like that. And it was, or how to, it was tailored at men to not be a pussy. And then when I went and listened to it, it was an AI generated script, probably narrated by AI, and it had nothing to do with being a man. It was like, what did we say? It was like, make more money, eat better, take care of yourself. It was like, it was nothing to do with being a man, but the way they were framing it was as if it was saying, as if it was challenging your manhood if you don't do these things. And I'm like, this is the most stupid. And is this not the stupid culture we're in right now about a conversation of what masculinity is or is not? I'm just like, this is not even the conversation.
And I envisioned so many people watching that video and going, "Yeah, I need to go make more money and eat
Yeah,
better."
that means I'm a man.
Man, I was just like, "Oh my God, what is this crap?"
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
admittedly eat as healthy as I should, but I don't feel that that lessens my manhood at all.
Right, right.
Um, the amount of
I,
money that I make, like I was saying, it's like back in the 50s and 60s, maybe that challenged your manhood. But I mean, there's a ton of women that make more money than me. And it literally was just like, you need to go make more money to be considered a real man. You need to
yeah,
make more money,
yeah,
which, like, yeah, cool. I would love to, but
yeah.
I don't feel like that defines me as a man. I don't even remember
Everything.
what the two were.
One of the things I think part of the commentary that's there for me about it is, I think it's easy. I'll add, as a man, I don't know that it is about that, but I just, in my own experience as a man, I went through life going, how do I get paid? How do I hack the system to make more money? Um, and what are other people doing? And I could have watched a video like that. I'd watched Garrett White videos with Wake Up Warrior. I'd watched, and I would see like people pounding their chest and talking about, you want to get paid and laid, and here's what you got to do, and using really aggressive tone and energy. And I'm like, fuck, maybe that's what I should do. Like, maybe that's what I should do. And my point is, for me at least, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. For me, it distracted me from the question of what is my work, and it pointed me to, oh, you got to go hustle and make some money. Oh, you got to go hustle and build a funnel. Oh, you got to go hustle. And so I was stuck in a game that wasn't mine. And I was comparing my results to something that had nothing to do with my purpose or mission.
Mhm.
And it actually caused me to feel worse about myself as a man, because I was stuck in a conversation that used those things to measure my manhood.
Yep. It's I mean, I'm a marketing guy, so I want to say I have a unique ability because it's not unique, but when you go through enough of this crap, you realize they're using fear tactics and manipulation. Really, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
like the NLP language of manipulation to get you to think
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that's sounds so easy. I
Yeah.
could do that."
Yeah. Right.
And then you go try, and then you realize it's not actually that easy, and then you give up, and then you feel bad about it. And when you feel bad about it, you're going to go right back to where you were and
Mhm.
find something new, and then you're like, "Oh, that sounds easy."
Yep.
Like that example I just gave you with the Mr. Beast video where he
Mhm.
was like, going viral is so easy. I just went out and found something that nobody else had done before, and I did that.
Which was what? You got
Yeah.
to
And
say what it
the
was.
guy was like, "Well, okay, well, tell me about your first viral video. What was it?" And he was like, "I just counted 200,000 on YouTube. Like nobody had ever done that before." And he's like, "It took me 40 hours, but nobody had ever done it, and it went viral, and people watched it." He's like, surprisingly, people watch a lot of it, and
Like you said, that
said
video
how
had 30 million views or something.
30 million or 80 million or something like that. And the
Yeah.
guy was like, "Well, how much money have you made? How much money do you think you've made?" And he, quick calculations, like, "Oh, $5 per CPM." He's like, "Yeah, I probably made about $150,000 off of that video alone." And that, just as an example, I was like, "Shit, I could do that."
Uh-huh.
what's something I could go do like that? And then I go down that fucking rabbit hole of
Right,
like, oh my God,
exactly.
there's all of these. I could go do this. I could go do that. I
Exactly.
could go do that.
Dude, that's my
Luckily,
that sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
that's it.
I'm getting fired up,
I'm
man.
like,
I'm like,
I'm smart enough to go, don't do that. Damn it. I would say I'm smart enough. Like I do it all the time. Some of
right.
my goals for this coming sprint in my goal setting stuff was if I'm going to go do something like that, it has to be related to this project, my work,
Yeah.
because that is all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah.
to stay laser focused on those things that matter because that's what I care about and that's what I want to focus on.
It's interesting to me that uh, I think in the absence of having a sense of purpose and mission, like this is what my work, my life's work is, this is what I'm here for. In the absence of that, it's real. Because I know this because before I felt like I knew what my work was, it was very easy for me to go down that rabbit hole and be like, oh, I'm going to figure out how to count to 100,000 and monetize a YouTube channel, or I'm going to figure out Facebook ads and build a funnel and get my 2 Comma Club award and just shit that I was chasing that was not my work. But I felt like, God, is this the thing? I didn't know.
Yeah, it was when I went through that phase of depression after all the shit I went through with my bar,
Yeah.
uh I was doing the same thing. Just, it's like God, it's and the marketers on the other side of things, and we all do this too. It's the same, it's the same tactics, except for we do it in a way where it feels good because it's not in a manipulative way where we're not trying to sucker people into buying our product, knowing damn well that they're not going to be able to do it, that they're not going to finish it, and then they're
Yeah.
going to be looking for the next best thing, 2 months from now or whatever. But I did so much of that and I spent so much money on the dumbest shit and I
Yeah.
wasted so much time. And now I've gotten better. Like I'm not necessarily spending the money, but like I said, I'll lay in bed every night and watch an hour of TikTok videos and Instagram, and I justify it because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm just cooling down. I'm relaxing after a long day and I just want to lay in bed and veg out. And that's fine. Like I allow myself to do that here and there, but I need to quit doing it every fucking night because if I can spend that hour on anything else related to the two things that I want to grow and have, become my life, like I need to be doing that.
Yeah. Right. I think I will add to that um, it's easier for me to follow through on those things that even if I don't even know fully what my work is, although I feel like I have a pretty good sense now, but there's the continuing to uncover what's next about the work and to do that in a space where others are uncovering what's next for their work. So like for you and I to meet in the sessions we meet in, it encourages me to keep looking for what's the next piece of that and then to report back. Like if we're going to jump in on these calls and I'm saying, here's what I'm working on my goals, it just knowing that I'm going to meet with you pulls that out of me. And I think a lot of guys have isolated themselves. I know I did, especially because I was called a pussy, especially because I was challenged in my manhood. I'm like, well, shit, I better not say that I didn't do it because then I'm going to be a pussy. And, now we're in this whole thing where it's like guys can't be honest about what's working and not working, nor do they want to show up unless they have their shit all figured out. So I think it's important to have this sense of, I keep calling it community, but there needs to be some sense of guys being able to come together and walk this thing home.
Yeah.
You know?
Without the belittling of
Yeah,
anything really. I mean,
right.
manhood, womanhood,
We're all
childhood, whatever.
figuring it out. We're all nobody's has this thing called life figured out. Nobody's got it figured out. Like there's always a next version of what we're stepping into. If that next thing is your own work, nobody knows what your life's work is. That's your work.
Right.
I can't tell you that. Garrett White can't tell you that. Lions and Lambs guy can't tell you that. Like nobody can tell you what your thing is. Nobody has that answer.
Right. So I liked our idea earlier of showing people what we do. This is what works for me. This is what works for you. And then helping them build out their own version of
No.
goal setting and tracking or whatever, whatever they
Yeah.
want to do, if they
Yeah.
even want to. I think
Right.
that's the way to go versus me standing here saying, hey, you need to you need to fill out this spreadsheet that I made, and if you don't like it, then get out. Like
You're a
that
pussy
doesn't.
if you don't do it the way I did
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you don't eat your vegetables and you don't fill out my spreadsheets,
it.
then
Yeah,
you're a pussy.
exactly.
That's
Right.
like that's just stupid.
Yeah, that's so
So,
dumb.
but we see that so often, and it just drives me nuts. And
Reminds
now,
me.
like I said, the AI stuff that's making it
Yeah.
easier and easier to put out this shit
Yeah.
content like that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Shit
uh,
content. Yes. It reminds me of bullies on the playground, in high school, playground, the high school playground, like in sports and in high school, to be the cool kid and to call everybody else, pussy, or you're, like just the bully mentality. Or if you go even younger in middle school, elementary school, uh,
mhm.
this in YouTube, like the stuff we're talking about, this culture of calling men pussies at, grown ass men as pussies reminds me of bully behavior in elementary school, only revisited now as adults. And, I just I think it's ridiculous. And I think it's pretty prevalent
It
still,
is, yeah.
which is weird
It,
because I feel like we
it's
should
funny,
move
like
all
you
past
don't,
that.
not that you don't think of it, but you don't notice it until you do. And
Yeah.
then when you go back, and especially with the way the algorithms all work now with YouTube and
Yeah.
TikTok and like all of whatever platforms, you watch one of those videos and it's like, oh, he must be into that. And then you see 10 more, and it's just like, this is such shit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, how do I unsubscribe from watching whatever that was so that I go back to just have to go watch other things?
Right.
I tell people that all the time. Like, it is what you make of it. So if you don't want to see that content, you have to go seek out the stuff you do want to see, and it'll eventually correct itself and start showing you more of that. But man, I noticed I watched that one video, and then all of a sudden I've got all these other like
Yeah.
related videos popping up, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to see any of this shit.
Right. Right. What's interesting about that video, that YouTube video, was it was using things you and I talk about and what we want for this community, like to be the best version of ourselves. It literally said that, right? To be the best version of yourself. And I'm like, dude, this is what we talk about. Only this video has veiled it in a bunch of toxic, masculine, stupid perspectives. It's
Yeah,
like, anyway.
it would have been a drastically, if that video didn't have the thumbnail that said like you're a pussy, or what, I forget how it actually phrased it, but it was whatever it was. But if
I'll
it would
find
have
it.
said 5 ways to live your best life,
All right.
go make more money, eat better, work out, like that would, I would have had zero problem with that. But it's like 5 ways to not be a pussy.
Right.
Like that's
I
one of
think
the
that,
dumb
yeah,
things ever.
I'm trying to find it here. That was why I wanted to share it with you, because I was like, it totally speaks to the masculine overlay here. Because right, this is the Lumen Project's a group for men. It's not a group for women. If you're, or it's, if you identify as a man, this is a group for you. Like that's what it is. But it's not what I often feel like most masculine things turn into, which is like, people think in order for it to be masculine, we have to call you a pussy and then challenge your manhood. And now it's a man thing.
This says it's five
Find it.
masculine habits that fix 99% of your problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then and the thumbnail says stop being a pussy.
Yes, exactly. Right. Exactly. And it's
The
got
big
this
huge
big
like,
picture of like Zeus or
yeah.
some Greek god all buffed out and
Yep.
stoic. And
Stop being a pussy. Five masculine habits that fix 99% of your problems. That's not like,
right, masculine in caps. There was nothing about the 5 things it shared that were masculine versus feminine.
right.
So, but that's my point. It's like, it's playing on your insecurities of manhood to try to make you click it, to be like, oh, if I'm really going to be a man, then I should really listen to this video because I want to,
Yep. It
anyway.
sucks. And that's why I called it, I would call it an evil genius. I called it genius because I'm like, somebody clearly knows what they're doing to get. I'm just gonna find this channel. In a world of compassion, 54,000 subscribers. They have 30 videos, and all of them have been put up in the last 3 weeks, and they're all the same, all AI generated from what I can tell. And I don't know if it doesn't show because I don't have analytics on somebody else's channel, but I can see like 5.9 thousand views, 4,000 views, 2,000 views, 7,000 views. Like it's this person is gonna make a fucking killing from this, and that
I,
drives me nuts.
yeah. I think that's maybe we made that point already in here, but I'll just circle back to because I feel like it there is the whole thing of like, oh, cool. There was a time in my life where I'm like, oh, how do I do that? I want to monetize a YouTube channel as fast as possible with as many subscribers and views and channel authority and the whole thing. And I would have spent so much time on that. And you can see that sometimes in this day and age of attention, shock value and saying things that are aggressive or shocking, using pussy in a thumbnail or 99% of masculine in caps problems. You're trying to push the edges of what gets a reaction in order to get a click. And I think where I've come to in at least my journey is I'm unwilling to stop my life's work in order to figure out how to hack your attention. What matters more to me now in the best version of me is how do I make the biggest impact possible? Not how do I monetize in my YouTube channel so that I can get clicks and live the Lamborghini lifestyle. I'm interested in making an impact in the world. I don't care as much anymore about leaning on the Lamborghini.
Right.
So anyway, I think that's important because I think a lot of guys are asking questions like, what do I really want to do with this life? And if what you're stuck in is a bunch of YouTube videos or other social content or whatever, just family chatter telling you that you should man up or telling you that you need to figure your shit out, or all of that becomes then your reaction to that versus your attention on what you're here for.
Yeah. And I want to say it's sad. I've been there. I knew
It is
I was
sad.
in a
I've been there. It was sad when I was there.
sad state of affairs, but it's sad to see people do that because you just want to be like, I can help you. Like, let me help you. Which is why we're here, I think.
Yeah, it is why we're
Goes,
here. Yeah. Yeah. I think through I think we live into the conversations we surround ourselves with, right? So if I surround myself with conversations of be a man, you're a pussy, make lots of money, then we kind of like start to adjust our life to the conversations we're around. But if you're in a conversation of other men who are on the path of being the best version of themselves, and I think the way you and I are doing it is we're asking better questions. We're open to whatever answer that is, rather than having some predetermined judgment. There's just let's ask better questions and have better conversations, and that will inform the decisions we make and the path we take. So
yeah, exactly.
enough of the toxic stuff. Let's just start to move into some constructive, like, next steps for what your life's work is. That's what I'm about.
I feel like that eventually this stuff runs its course. Like,
Sure.
but God, I hate to see it in the meantime.
Well, I mean, yeah, it runs its. There is can't remember in the podcast we talked about spiral dynamics, but you and I have talked about it, where the level of awareness, the evolution of consciousness. There was a time in the 60s where men wore the pants and women should be seen, not heard. And there's and I thank God, I think our consciousness has evolved beyond many of us. Our consciousness has evolved beyond that limited perspective.
Right.
But I have wonder, like, what will this run its course? And if so, like, what's the next manipulation? Because this version of the manipulation is still around, but then once people are too wise to be called a pussy anymore, what's the next manipulation of a human being, man or not? What that preys on our fears, and what is our possibility for being focused on our life's work or getting clear about our purpose and our mission, so that just rolls off our back, right? It just doesn't even affect me because I'm so clear about what I'm here for.
Right.
Anyway, I digress. I feel like I hit that one like multiple times from different angles, and
Well, it's
maybe it was overdone.
it's a hot topic for us. It's
It
not
is a hot
necessarily
topic. Damn it.
the hot topic for us. It's a
Yeah.
sensitive subject.
Well,
But
I'm
yeah,
so, yeah,
I don't know what I was going to say right there.
because I cut you off. I feel so passionately about um how exciting life gets when I've gotten clearer about my purpose. The clearer I am about my purpose, the more I'm excited for what I'm creating.
Yep.
And conversely, in a long season of being in business for myself and being frustrated about what is my purpose, like not knowing exactly what to do, then I was looking for fucking any lifeline. And if that meant a 2 comma club, or that meant rich dad, poor dad, or that meant maybe I'll be a top mega agent in real estate, it didn't matter. If it just tickled my ears at all, I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yep.
And I had no sense of power in my own life because I was jumping from one stupid strategy to another. I didn't know who I was.
And we've covered this in other sessions, other podcasts before, but where do you think you had an aha moment, right? Like we both have had probably multiple aha moments, but what was that for you, if you remember, where you were just like, fuck this stuff?
Right. Well, I think we get multiple moments like that. Um and it's funny, like I can see the through line if I go back even to, I think, around our late teens, early 20s. For me in college, there was a moment where I just was really clear. I wanted to speak on stages, and I wanted to be a coach and develop human beings. And then I didn't know how to do that. And I thankfully I graduated from college. I was not a great student. I didn't know where I fit professionally. And so there I had this original dream in my early 20s, and then I graduated college, didn't know where I fit, had to get a job. And all of a sudden now, for the next 20 years, I was out in the wilderness trying to figure it out. And it was only, I think it was in those moments of being like, how am I wired? What do I care about? What are my passions? Like these moments of coming back to myself, only to figure out not the answer, only to figure out it's not this.
Right.
Right? Like the aha moment was, it's not this. Not it was the aha moment was like, oh my God, I'm totally clear. The aha moment was, it's not this. And then I would go to the next thing. God, it's not this. Next thing. And I did that enough times, I think, for me, that I started to realize, like, okay, I there I know that I want to invest in people. That's always been there for me. I just can see how many times that's what it is. Like, oh, it's about people. Oh, it's about people. Oh, it's about people. Man, for 20 years in business, I made it about money. I made it about funnels and marketing. I made it about all the things that weren't the thing it was really about.
Yep. That's what happened this last week for me too, when I had the aha moment of, it's not it's not this. Like damn sure is not this. And and it
Mm,
took a few hours. I just kind of sat back and did what, I noodled in my head. I'm like, what do I want to do? I love helping people and I love these topics.
yeah.
How can I make that into something
Mm, mm,
tangible that I can go do? And now that's the plan, is to
yeah.
go do that. Can't give too much,
Right.
can't spill the beans fully, but it was one of those moments like that where I was like, it's not this isn't it, this isn't how I want to do this.
Right.
And that was
Yeah.
what happened several times in my life. Same little pivotal moments where I'm like, this isn't how I this isn't how I envisioned my life going. That was kind of how I
Yeah.
felt. This isn't how I thought my
Yeah.
life was supposed to go. I'm in control.
Hmm.
I can go make a change, go do something else. What does that look
Hmm.
like? And then go do it.
That,
And it goes back to my goal setting and I'm like, what does that look like? What I'm in control. What can I do in the next 90 days to make that happen? And then
hmm.
break it down to the daily.
Yeah.
What do I need every day to go make that dream a reality?
Yeah. Because I like that part about, uh, there was enough of, it's not this, that And for me, there was a moment a couple years ago where I had what I called my midlife crisis, where I just was like a full stop on my business. I had a 9-month temper tantrum. I was like, I just was like, F everything. Um, because I was so cynical that anything I was doing, nothing I was doing was working anymore. And I was just very angry all the time. Just lots of anger. And I realized to do what I wanted to do in the world, I couldn't use anger as the energy to get me there. I just had to, it had to be a different, a more positive energy. And I didn't want to just say, oh, well, it's love. That's the energy. I just was like, it's not anger. I can't be anger. So I stopped using that energy. And the most frustrating part about that was I didn't, anger was the energy that, I don't want to say forced me, but caused me to show up. So when I took that off the table, I wasn't like showing up. I was
Yeah, then
kind
you're
of
like, oh,
floating.
now what?
Yeah, there was no rudder, there was no urgency, I'm just like, I'm unwilling to use anger. And that meant I had to float for a couple years. But that's the magic, because in that opening, in that space of not hustling and grinding out of anger, I started to see some truths for myself about what I wanted to create. Because everything before what I wanted to create was a reaction or fear of missing out, or a look at comparison. Like, this is what he counted to 100,000. Maybe I should do that so I can make 6 figures on YouTube. Everything was I'm not doing it right. Let me see what somebody else is doing. But in the space of just surrendering to the moment and being open to who am I and what do I want to create, and then an image started to show up like, oh, this is what I desire is this.
Mhm.
And not like I knew how to do that, but at least it was mine, and at least it was the journey I was choosing to take.
And going back
I
to
feel
what
like
we
your
said,
story is similar to that in some ways.
yeah, 100%. It was, I mean, to a T pretty much. um,
Yeah.
I was going back to what we were talking about last week, which was the intent and purpose. And like I used that multiple times in my goal setting stuff this time, because I see myself falling back into that habit again. And I'm like, nope, quit doing that. Intent and purpose, this path, go. Just go this way. quit going that way and this way, or that way.
Uh-huh.
And that, we help, I think we can help people just with having conversations live with intent and purpose.
Yeah.
Once they figured out kind of, they don't have to figure out exactly what they want to do, but at least a semi direction that they want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, that, I think, to I think maybe the premise of this community is then, when uh, to live the best version of ourselves, I think requires that we have a sense of what we want to create. Like, you know, what is your work? You listening to this, what is your work? What is your purpose, your mission? And if you can start to get clear on that, then I think you could actually enjoy the conversation of living the best version of yourself. I think
It
without that, you're kind of stepping into what's somebody else's answer for me, and now that's not your creation.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is it makes it your truth and your
Yeah.
journey, not
Right.
mine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yes.
on that,
Man, there's so many layers there.
I know.
I'm just having other things pop up. Like, we could talk about this and we could talk about that. Like, there's so many roles that have been put on men. Like, if men are providers, oh, then I'm a provider. Now I need to provide. And so I can't really ask what my work is because I have to make sure I'm providing. And you're like, well, maybe that's
I'm gonna
not the
go on
whole story.
a huge tangent for a minute right
Okay.
here. I saw something. A friend of mine posted something on Facebook the other day that just like it. It almost pissed me off. I don't want to say it pissed me off, but I had to bite my tongue pretty hard. But the gist of it was like this lady, she's a beautiful woman. She lives in Arizona. She's suntan Barbie, that typical. And what she posted was something along the lines, it was a text message thread from a guy, and it basically said, do you want to go get coffee? And she's like, I don't drink coffee. And if you, I forget how she worded it exactly, but it was the gist of it was, if you were a real man, you'd take me out to dinner, like a real
Oh,
man should.
jeez.
And
Wow.
she just posted that, and then the comment thread was where it got really interesting, because a bunch of the guys were like, what she posted with that text was that she had been on 5 dates in the last 10 years or whatever, and she's like, I don't need a man. I choose when I want to go out with a man, but if somebody can't take me out to dinner like a proper man should,
Mm.
then I don't want anything to do with them. And a bunch of guys were chiming in, and this is my feeling is it's way fucking harder as a guy these days to try to do the dating thing. Like, and especially for somebody like her, she can just stand there and not say a fucking word and get 500 dates. I guarantee it. She's that kind of, like, she's gorgeous
Uh-huh.
and she's smart. She's successful. Like, she's good to go. Guys have to try. Like, I'm not the most attractive dude. Luckily, I'm smart ish. But we all have our quirks and we all have our things. And like, to see somebody like that belittling men because the guy invited her out for coffee. Like, he didn't know she doesn't drink coffee. I do that
Right.
when I'm
Right.
like, hey, you want to go grab a drink? And I've had people do this where she's like, I don't drink. And I'm like, okay, cool. You don't have to drink. Like, that's just my way of saying, do you want to go hang out? And I don't want to sound
Right.
like a
Right.
15-year-old kid. You want to go hang out?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like these attitudes that we get
Mm.
as a response to what
Mm.
we're just trying to do, what we know. It's like, hey, I like you. You seem attractive. You're cool. Do you want to go hang out? Do you want to go get coffee? Do you want to get a drink? Because
Right.
I don't want to go invest. And this was where it got kind of iffy. It was a lot of the guys were like, look, man, it's $200 to go have dinner. If I take a woman out on a date to a decent place anywhere in town,
Yeah.
keyword decent place,
Uh-huh.
and we have a drink
Yep.
and a
Yeah.
meal,
Easily
it's
a couple
easily
hundred.
$200 right now.
Yep.
And if I'm a guy and I know that I have to go do that, 5, 10, 15, 20 times before I meet somebody that's worth
Right.
pursuing into a
Uh-huh.
further relationship, like,
Right. Right.
I can't fucking afford that. Most guys can't. I mean, they're like, so she was like, well, I just don't understand why guys can't take me out to dinner. If they want to get to know me, they'll take me out to dinner.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
If I want to get to know somebody, especially on a first date, I just want to go meet up, have a drink or two, have coffee, whatever, or something
Yeah. Right.
basic where I'm not spending $200 to do it, because 9 times out of 10, we don't click, we don't get along, we don't have any mutual, and maybe it's me, maybe it's her, whatever. It's a numbers game at this point. But she was like,
Yeah.
well, I've gone out 5 times in the last 10 years. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, sorry, sweetie, that's not how the world works these days.
Yeah.
But that was like infuriating, because just that attitude of like, you're not a real man if you won't invite me out to dinner.
Right.
And
And
then
I think
of course, the guy was like, well, okay, like, we can go to dinner.
yeah, right. I mean, I don't think that's, in some ways, I don't think that's any different than what we're talking about, where it's like, if some dude is calling you a pussy because you're not doing it a certain way, and if you don't have a sense of yourself, or if you're, like where I was sitting there jumping from one program to another, trying to find the answer, trying to find the meaning for myself. What is my purpose, my mission, my role, my desire? Even that, what is my desire? What do I want? And if I don't even know what I want, then somebody telling me that I need to buy them dinner might be like, oh shit, maybe that's what I want. I guess I want to buy you dinner. Yeah, thanks for telling me that. I guess you cleared everything up. you know, it's so clear
And I
now.
mean,
I guess I wanted to buy you dinner.
I'm probably a little biased because I've gone on enough dates where I've spent the money. And my friends used to tell me that. They're like, well, you do this to yourself because you go on these dates and you spend this money. And I'm like, well, it's because I like nice food and drinks.
Right.
I'm rewarding myself, and the fact that I invited her to come along,
Sure.
that's just a byproduct of it. But it does suck to have to pay for another person when I'm old school. So if I invite you to go out to dinner with me, I'm paying. That's just how it is. Unless the girl wants to arm wrestle me for it, because then I'm screwed. But I don't know. That's just it really rubbed me the wrong way. It was one of those just examples of like, this is the world we live in now, where a woman is demanding that a man takes her to dinner to get attention.
Sure. Yeah,
Like,
sure.
okay, whatever. Anyway, that was my tangent for the.
Nice. That was a nice tangent. Well, that's the power. Well, I think that's that's kind of the point here, is if as a man you begin to find, if as a human who happens to be a man, right, finds what you can start to find what you desire, what you really want, then you can start to make these choices of whether you go stag on dinner or whether you pay for dinner or whether you go for coffee or, I mean, I just saying, like, it doesn't matter if it's girls and dinner or it's your career and your purpose, like some level until you start to figure out what it is you want and design your life for the thing you say you want, then everything is going to be a reaction.
Yeah. And I thought that way too. I was like, good for her for having standards and boundaries and not just,
Sure.
going willy-nilly and doing whatever. But it was the presentation of how she did that with
Yep.
like belittling this guy, and she didn't include his name or anything like that, but it was clearly
Right.
a screenshot of their text threads. And I'm like, God, imagine being that guy and seeing this conversation and just being like, wow, woman.
Right. That's rude. Well, there's a lot of rude stuff like that. And I think that makes it not safe for men to want to, like, and that's just one example, right? The YouTube video we talked about is another example, right? Being called a pussy because you don't eat certain things or you don't make enough money. Like, just all of that is like one big diss. And I think it's hard. This is why having a safe space like the Lumen Project for me and for men to, create, design their life, set goals, pursue those goals without any judgment or condemnation for whether how you do your goal or whether you did your goal, but just that there's a group of men saying, I want to live a better version of my life. I'd like to do it with other people who are reasonable and smart and kind. That just makes sense. Let's do that.
Yep.
I prefer that. I don't need to lean on a Lamborghini. I don't need
It's
that.
not that.
So
So,
anyway,
yep, there we go.
there we go. What I would say, sort of winding down here, is Jeff and I have been talking about some events. If you are in the Portland area, we've got some events. It's almost October at the time of this recording. So on October, November, December, we're planning some events. If you'd like to hang out with us in the Lumen Project in Portland, track us down, find us. We have a free Facebook group that you can kind of hang out in called Purpose Driven Men. And then if you, like I said, if you want to come to the events, check out our website, right? The lumenproject.com, thelumenproject.com.
I think we
I haven't
have
put,
we
yeah,
have
go
a
ahead.
link to the Facebook group on the website, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I need to add events. I think there's a great place to put events on there. So once
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
those, we'll put those on the website too.
cool.
But and the bigger picture here of the Lumen Project is it's a community of men who are engaged in living the best version of their life. And we meet on a weekly basis virtually, so you can be anywhere. You don't have to be in Portland for that.
Yep.
But there's power in meeting together because we live into the conversations and the questions we're having. So we invite you to check that out. There's a video of Jeff and I on the website, thelumenproject.com, talking about what the community is, and it's application only. So just because you can pay doesn't mean you get in. Check it out and come hang out with us. Anything else, Jeff, you want to
No, I think
throw
we
on top of that?
I think we covered enough today.
we took that one around the block for a spin.
That one went, yeah, that one went a couple ways, but that was all
Yeah,
good.
that's all good. It's all good. Yeah, for sure. All right, man.
Always
Well,
is.
I appreciate this conversation. Thank you all of you for listening, and until next time, be well.
Take care, guys.